Hello everyone, I'm Grandmaster Ben Finegold and you're not. And today we have the under 1400 class, so no talking Archer. Oh, okay. He's too high rated. Rawr, he's higher rated than all four of you put together plus tax with no tax.
Because I'm a junior.
Although it is, remember the no talking rule? Okay, good. Yeah, don't raise your hand. Okay, so I'm teaching the class, you're just supposed to listen. I'll call on you if I want to call on you, don't worry about it. Okay, now, you have to be at least 1 year old to be in this class. So if you're a baby, well, you can still come. Okay, so there's a player you never heard of, but you have a good excuse because you've never heard of anybody. So that makes sense, right? And with the exception of Archer, because he's over 1400. And his name is Garry Kasparov. No talking. And Garry Kasparov is probably the third greatest player of all time. Most people, because most people aren't too bright, they think he's the greatest player of all time. And then I shake my head. No. And if you're in that room over there, where you were playing chess before, there's a picture of Kasparov, and he's playing Wesley So. It's over on that side of the room. Okay, anyway, now, Kasparov retired from chess 10 years ago. He doesn't play chess anymore. However, because he's old, however, he'll play an exhibition where he plays kids like you, and then he beats all of you. But he won't play in a real tournament, because then he's old. And then a few months ago, he played in a real tournament. He made a comeback, because he was kidding. And then he got crushed. They said, "You're old, what are you doing here?" And he said, "What? I can't hear you, I'm old." That's what happened. So there were 10 players, and he came in 8th place. And he used to come in 1st place every tournament. The truth hurts, right? Okay, yeah. So that's what happened. Anyway, now he was a good player, Kasparov. Okay, he was really good. Now some of you at home are confused. You're like, you guys aren't confused because you don't know what I'm talking about. You guys are like, he said he's the 3rd greatest player of all time. Who were the first two? Good question. The greatest player of all time is Paul Morphy. He was alive in the 1850s. You with some crazy comment.
Wait, I have a book about it.
Yeah, that's right. You with some crazier comment.
Is Magnus Carlsen supposed to be the best?
He's the best in the world right now, but he's in his 20s. So in 20 years, we'll talk about it if I'm alive, which I won't be. Now, the 2nd greatest player of all time is Bobby Fischer, who some of you have heard of.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Bobby Fischer.
But then Kasparov's 3rd. Most people think Kasparov's 1st because most people can't think. They're just like, Kasparov. Well, I've heard of him. Oh, that's right. Well, I don't mean the greatest player right now. I mean of all time, who ever lived ever. Yeah. And Paul Morphy's also dead because he died over 100 years ago. That's a good excuse, right? Okay. Now, Kasparov, on the other hand, was pretty good. So what I did was I found games Kasparov won really fast when he was younger, and we're going to analyze those games and look at all the blunders. You guys blunder every move. For example, you had the wrong breakfast this morning. It was a blunder. And then when you came here, you went to this class. That was a blunder. And then sometimes you just scream out random things. That's a blunder. Then when you play chess, every move is a blunder. And then I cry, and then we get Kleenex all over the chess center. Right? That way, you're like, oh, what a move he made. Okay, now who's playing in the tournament today? We have a kids tournament. Everybody gets a prize. If you come in 1st place, you get a trophy. If you don't come in 1st place, you get a medal. Even if you lose all your games, you still get a medal. Okay, you know why? America. This is America. Everybody gets a prize. Rawr. Okay, now, we're going to go back a long, long time ago in a galaxy. No, this game was played in 1977. Shh, no talking. No talking. Okay, now, as you know, in 1977, Kasparov was 14 years old, right? Because he was. Okay, and so Kasparov was white, and no, you can't move your chair. Remember I said that already. Okay, so he's playing a guy from Australia. That means the guy's terrible. He's from Australia. Now, if you're from Australia now, it's possible you're good, but if you were from Australia in 1977, then you weren't any good. Okay, Kasparov is, don't move the chair. Kasparov was like, rawr, and they were like, quiet. Okay, Kasparov's white, and they played an opening you've never heard of.
The Sicilian.
Correct. And you shouldn't play the Sicilian when you're Australian. You're Australian, right? The Sicilian's like if you're Sicilian. Okay. Now, they played a very unusual opening because they did something that will confuse you. Okay? White did something really bad, and black did something really bad, and you have to argue which is more bad. Usually in chess, you do something good, and your opponent does something good, and you wonder which is more good, right? You with some comment that makes no sense.
Which color is Garry Kasparov?
Good question. Garry Kasparov is white, and his opponent, his name is Guy West. Terrible. Okay, now notice the bishop is pinning the knight because I said so, right?
Yeah.
So he played e5 because black wants to take this pawn because the knight's pinned, as I said. Okay, e5, knight d5. Now black's attacking that knight a lot. That's a lot. So white played here. And he took with the pawn, and he moved his bishop back, and he got his bishop out. Remember I told you both sides did something bad? Okay, now in this position you're confused. You're wondering, why did he go all the way back? Thanks for asking. If he goes here, which looks better, now when I attack your pawn, you don't really have a good move here. Because if you castle, you'll get checkmated probably, and if you go here, then I could probably stop you from castling. Then you'd cry like a grandmaster.
Yeah.
So he played bishop f8, and now remember I said white did something bad and black did something bad? Okay, so what black did bad is we're on move 9, because we are, and all of black's pieces are on the back row. What am I in there watching you guys play? Okay, that's terrible. How can all these pieces be on the back row and black's made 8 moves already?
Wow.
Conversely, white has all of his minor pieces out. Yay! That's what I teach you guys to do.
This king is unguarded.
This king here?
Yeah.
It's unguarded. What? It's guarded by everything. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
And I can castle whenever I want. Okay, so white has all of his pieces out. White can castle. Black has none of his pieces out. Black cannot castle. Okay, that's the bad for black. The bad for white is the pawn structure. This is a beautiful pawn structure. They're all touching each other and they're all protected. This is very suspicious. Those pawns are doubled and isolated, and that pawn's isolated all by himself. So you could say, I don't like when my pawns are bad. Or you could say, I don't like when none of my pieces have moved the whole game. And now we're going to find out who's more wrong. You with some comment.
I think sometimes double pawn structures is actually an exception to the rules of chess.
Yeah, double pawns are sometimes good. Yeah.
Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
That's right.
Yeah, I saw that on a video on CCSCATL.
Was it me?
No.
Aw. Hold on, I have to cry.
Yeah, Fun Mike.
Who was the Grandmaster?
Mike. He's actually not a...
Fun Master Mike's not a Grandmaster, but he's a FIDE Master. That's even better. Okay, now let's see who the smartest in the class is other than Archer. So Archer can't answer. You know Fun Master Mike? What's his real name?
Mike Klein.
Yeah, close enough. You said his name wrong, but that's the right name. You.
Mike Klein.
Mike Klein. Yeah, and his rating is about 2350. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
That's higher than your rating. And he's a FIDE Master. The reason he doesn't have a higher title, he doesn't play chess. He makes videos, he runs Chess Kid, he runs chess.com, he travels all over the world writing and reporting. He's not really playing in tournaments.
Yeah.
So he can't get his rating up because he doesn't play. Good excuse. Okay, now, in my opinion, and I've seen thousands and thousands of chess games, that's where I get my opinion. It's more important to get all of your pieces out than worry about your pawn structure. So I like white. Let's see if I'm right. Okay. So black played d6, and white defended his pawn and got another piece out. Okay, and black played, yay, okay, and black played knight to d7. Finally, black got a piece out, and it was the losing move.
Because
Okay.
he doesn't get the white bishop.
Right, that's why actually what you said, he blocked his bishop. When you move one piece, you try not to block other pieces, you try.
Yeah.
So he played knight here, and he's blocking his bishop. And you're like, well, so what? And Kasparov's going to show you so what. Okay, Kasparov's going to play what Archer would play, because it's a sacrifice that's crazy, but it wins.
It's knight e6.
Knight e6, that's right. Okay, now obviously you got to take that knight, otherwise you're losing, but he didn't take the knight. He played queen over there. Well, if you're going to give your knight away and win a pawn, and the guy moves his queen, obviously your move was good. Let's look at the other move. Let's say he takes. That makes more sense, right? Now white goes, roar! You.
H5.
Queen H5. Uh-oh. Dang. That's why he didn't take the knight. Now there's two moves, G6 and King E7. After King E7, the truth hurts.
Checkmate.
Close.
No. Check.
He goes here.
Yeah.
I take. Now, if you take, which makes sense, I have a winning combination. First of all, I can win by doing nothing, but I have a win-win, which Archer will now suggest. Archer, you're Archer. Right, Bishop F6.
Who's Archer?
The one who answers all the questions right. Okay, so notice you're skewering the king and queen, so you have to take, right? Right?
Okay.
Then you skewer
Okay.
again.
Queen H4.
Queen H4. Uh-oh. That's good for white, isn't it?
Yeah, because
Okay.
you get the queen.
Okay.
The next.
Now let's say you don't play King E7 because that didn't work out too good, did it?
Yeah.
Let's play G6. Now I sack, and then I do it again. Roar.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, the guy who had black, he didn't like any of that. He's like, I don't want any of that. So he just moved his queen. But that just proves his knight D7 move was terrible. Now, when you blunder and your opponent does this to you, there's two possible reasons. One is they checked you, and the other is they took something. They captured something. If your opponent captures your piece and you're like, oh, I didn't see that, that's not good.
Yeah.
Okay, and here, white captured something and attacked the queen. You with some crazy comment.
Can we see the engine when?
Yeah, good point. So the computer's gonna say white's better, because I said so. It says white's better, but it's close. Then when black plays knight D7, this red light's gonna go on right here. See this light? It's gonna be red, because knight D7's bad. You see how it's red?
Yeah.
And it went from like equal to white is completely winning if white plays knight takes E6. And he played knight takes E6. Yeah. Does the computer take the knight?
No.
No, because the computer's like, rawr. Okay. So now white's winning. Black played queen B6. Okay, now Kasparov made a great move. Wow. Remember when I told you checks and captures? And the last move was a capture? Knight takes E6. Now he does a check. This one's pretty hard, actually. Knight C7 check. Confusing the audience, except for Archer.
I actually see that move.
Right.
Actually.
Now notice I'm attacking the king and rook because I said so.
And it's called a fork.
That's a fork. So the only move that makes any sense for black is what? Taking the knight. And now I take this and I'm checking your king and I'm attacking your queen. That's why we have Kleenex in the chess center. Now you got cry if you're black. Black loses his queen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this guy was so good at chess, he didn't lose his rook or his queen. Archer. Archer's like, I'm not that good. He didn't lose his rook and he didn't lose his queen. He gave up, right. He said, oh, I give up. Okay, now let's see what the engine says. It says, roar! White's up 1,000,000 points. Okay, so white's up 7 and white's only up a pawn.
Well, the second is 30.44.
Yeah, so black said, I give up. Kasparov, you're too good. And Kasparov was only 14 when he played that game. Now, when Kasparov was 13, 14, 15 years old, everybody's like, wow, that guy's good. And this was before the internet, and we still knew he was good. Okay, truth hurts. Okay, next game.
So if you were a 1977...
I was alive then.
If you were a 1977's Australian player and if you were a 1977's Australian player, then you are no good.
Correct. That's the one thing he learned in class, but that's correct. Okay, now, Kasparov has black here, so let's flip the board. Okay, so here, everything's normal. Everybody's happy. Okay, and Kasparov played knight c6 because he's attacking this knight 1,000,000 times. So it's attacked 3 times, and it's defended twice. 3's more than 2.
Yeah.
Even in 1979 it was. Now what's funny about this is, He's playing Elmar Magerramov, and I played Elmar Magerramov in like 1990, and he crushed me. Okay, he was a grandmaster when I played him. He's not a grandmaster here. He's close. And Kasparov is already 16 years old. He's pretty good, 16.
And he won this game.
Well, we're gonna find out. Yeah. So Magerramov didn't want to lose his knight, so he played knight c2.
Retreating.
And after bishop takes bishop, he took with the knight. He figured it all out. And probably he was expecting Kasparov to take this pawn, and then maybe the queen gets in trouble because it's pretty far away. So actually, you were told by somebody, possibly me, possibly somebody else, don't move your queen out in the opening. And then you were like, I beg to differ. I move my queen every move. And then you always lose, and your coach just shakes their head. Okay, then when you win, because your opponent gives all their pieces away, you say, see, that was a good idea. So in this position, both sides move their queen out in the opening. That's because they're kids. Tricks are for kids. And because of that, black now plays the winning move. Black played one more move, and white gave up. Because white lost his queen. How does black win white's queen? First of all, you got to attack it. You with the wrong answer. Yeah.
I forgot my move.
Wait, is that the wrong answer when he forgot?
I think it was.
All right, who gets the prize for sitting in their chair? You.
Bishop e6.
Bishop e6 attacks the queen, but the queen can escape. Right?
Knight a5.
That's what Archer was going to say, right? Yeah, knight a5. Notice the knight attacks the queen because I said so. Right?
And the queen is trapped.
Do you see a good square for the queen? Does anybody see one? There's 5 of you.
No.
Who sees where the white queen can go where it's safe?
No, because it's trapped.
Yeah. That's not good, is it?
Wait a minute.
Okay, I'll wait.
What's D3 guarded by?
This pawn.
Oh yeah.
Good answer, right? Yeah. He doesn't believe it. He's like, that queen has 20 squares to go to. They can't all be defended. But they are. Right?
Yeah.
So when you move your queen out and the other guy attacks it and you're like, oh, I lose my queen. Now, of course, this guy's a good player, so he didn't lose his queen.
How about a2? Knight a4?
Well, you can avoid losing a queen, but you lose a piece. No, he resigned. Yeah. If you don't lose your queen, let's say you attack my queen. Okay? I take your queen, you take my queen, and I take the knight, and black has more knights than white.
Yep.
Now, you guys should never give up, but when you're playing a grandmaster and they win all kinds of pieces, then... Now, if we turn on the engine, which I can do by pushing this button, it'll say black's winning. See, black's winning, +3. Yay! It should be 0, that's equal. 3's not good. That's like 3 pawns.
Yeah.
Okay, so then he resigned. Luckily, it was a training game. It wasn't rated, so that's okay. Still terrible.
Training?
Okay. Okay, now Kasparov's white. This is against Dr. John Nunn, one of the smartest guys in the world. He got a PhD in math when he was 19. He started going to college when he was 15.
Wow.
Okay, and also he's a photographer in space, and he does math, and he does computer science, and he's a grandmaster. He was top 10 in the world at chess, and he's the world problem-solving champion. They show chess puzzles, he solves them the best. So that guy's pretty smart, but he was playing Kasparov.
And Kasparov.
Right, Kasparov's not good at any of that, but he's good at chess, and they're playing chess. So, yeah. Now, I can prove how good Kasparov was. Want to see the proof?
Yeah.
If you guys can see, what's the rating difference? Who's higher rated? See the numbers next to their name?
Kasparov.
That's a pretty high rating, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So in this position, Kasparov's in check, so he got out of check, and now black made the losing move. Black made a very greedy move.
Greedy.
Okay, notice white has all his pieces out, and black didn't move this out yet, so that means this guy can't move either. And instead of getting his pieces out, he got greedy. He's like, I'm going to take a pawn. And Kasparov's like, quiet, you can't talk during the game. Okay, now, notice the knight and the queen are lined up because I said so.
And now the queen queen gets to go to D1 and score?
Well, actually, you got the right square, but a different piece. That's the right square.
Oh, rook D1.
Yeah, that's what Archer was going to say.
Yeah.
Rook D1, and Nunn's like, that's no problem. I'm going to defend my knight. Bam. Okay, now, he did defend his knight, it's true. However, notice the diagonal to the king is open. It wasn't open before, but now it's open. Okay, and Kasparov made a boring move, knight G5.
Yay.
Boring. But Kasparov wants to play queen F7 check, and queen C4 check.
I like queen C4 better.
Yeah. Okay, and this position is so good for white because of the checkmating ideas that black gave up. But you guys should never give up. So you guys are going to play black and defend. You're going to stop queen S7 check and queen C4 check. And then I'm going to crush you. What should black do to defend all of that? Somebody help him.
Yeah.
Man, this class is tough. They're like, no, I don't want to have black here. If you play king H8 to avoid the checks, you get your king and queen forked, right?
Check.
So you can't do that.
You have no time to get lucky.
If you play queen F6, for example, I check. If you go here, rawr, right?
Checkmate.
Okay, if you go here, I go check, then I go double check, and then
Double check.
checkmate.
Yeah. It's like a version of another name. Except the guy who's blocking the king is...
Yeah, now let's say you block with the bishop, and then you take, I go here, and you cry like a grandmaster, right?
Yeah. Because the queen is in twice.
Okay, also, if you don't like that, you're like, I don't like that. That's okay, this also wins. Roar! Everything's winning.
Yeah,
so after knight G5, if I turn the engine on, material is actually good for black. Black is up a pawn.
Who's black though?
The guy who has black, Dr. John Nunn. So if I turn on the engine, it says white's winning, even though black's up a pawn. It says white has a winning position, right?
Yeah.
Because what he's getting crushed. His king is getting crushed over here. Rawr. And his knight can't move, it's pinned to the queen. Aw.
Poor knight.
Yeah, so look at that number. White's up 3, even though white's down a pawn. That's how bad black's position is.
Wow.
So that he shouldn't have taken that, but we have a name for that. When you take a pawn and you shouldn't take it, that's called a poison pawn. Don't take that.
Oh yeah.
Then you get crushed. Okay, next time you play chess, in my opinion, you should move your pieces. That's my opinion. See how black didn't move his whole queen side? And look at white. White moved all of his pieces. If I show you a million Morphy games, my favorite player, he moves all of his pieces, his opponents don't move their pieces. And then Morphy wins. Then they're like, well, Morphy's opponents were terrible. Well, this guy's not terrible. He didn't move his pieces. So I think you should move your pieces. That's my opinion. If you move all your pieces out, nobody will beat you. Let's say you're the coach of a football team. You're the coach. Do you tell your players, sit on the bench, don't go on the field, just sit on the bench the whole game?
That's boring.
Well, your team's not going to win if there's nobody on the field, right?
Yeah.
So these guys are on the bench. They don't get to move. And the guys that are on the field, they win. White has more guys on the field. All of White's guys are on the field. And Black's like, I'll move those guys next game. What would Nakamura say? Frankly, terrible. Right. Okay, next game. Nakamura said nothing because he wasn't born yet. That was a good excuse.
Oh yeah, Nakamura was playing Carlsen.
Yeah?
He won because Carlsen resigned.
Yeah, that must have been the one game out of a million. Okay, now this game's going to end really fast. In this position, Robert Huebner, probably one of the 2 greatest players of all time from Germany, he decided he was going to checkmate Garry Kasparov. That reminds me of a very funny scene from The Godfather. When I was your age,
Yeah.
I was watching a movie called The Godfather,
Oh, yeah.
which you shouldn't watch until you're an adult. But okay, there's a lot of violence in the movie. Anyway, at one point, I said, who's that guy? And my mom and dad said, that guy's the boss. He's the head of everything. And I said, okay. And then this other guy shot him and killed him. And I said, well, how did he die? He's the boss. And they were like, what? Like, you can't kill the boss. He's the boss. Like, he can't die. I was your age, so I was silly. I thought if you're the boss, like, you live forever.
What?
And they were like, well, he shot him, so that's the end of it. And I was like, what? I was confused. So I thought, so you guys are like, Kasparov can't lose, he's Kasparov. But if you checkmate him, then you win.
Yeah.
Right? It don't matter how good he is. So white played bishop d3. This is a checkmate you're all familiar with. The bishop and the queen are lined up, a threatening checkmate. So even if Kasparov is rated 5 million, if you checkmate him, you win. Doesn't matter what his rating is, right? Now, did Kasparov let his opponent checkmate him?
No.
No. He played a move and tricked his opponent. His opponent probably thought he blocked the queen, probably. But he played f5 attacking the queen. And the guy with white blundered. He made the losing move. In this position, the bishop and the queen both attack the pawn, and only the queen defends it. That's it. So he was like, well, I'll take that. What he should have done is play queen h4, then the computer says it's equal. But he took the pawn. He was like, yeah, I'm up a pawn.
Oh,
although he said it in German, because he's German.
It's bad move.
Yeah, but you don't know why.
Because in the notation thing it says question.
Yeah, but what it said question mark, but what if somebody crazy wrote that question mark? Exactly. In fact, I know that guy, he's a little crazy. Archer with the correct answer. Right. Now white still wants to go here, but black discovered the right move. Discovered. He played knight f6.
Oh.
Notice the knight defends the pawn, because I said so. And now there's a discovered attack on the queen. And you remember when that guy's queen was trapped in the previous game? Yeah. Well, now this guy's queen is trapped.
Wait, what?
You with some crazy comment.
What if the white with queen h4 and e4?
Right. Well, I'll get to that later. We'll get to that after this. Notice the queen's attacked and there's nowhere to go. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
So white gave up. He's like, whoa. Now, I told you kids, don't move your queen out. And you're like, no, I'm going to move my queen out and lose it. And I'm like, what? Okay. So you probably shouldn't do that. Now, Archer has a question. He says, wait a minute. After here, you said that's equal, but doesn't this win a piece? You see how it wins a piece? It's a fork? Yeah. Now, white has a brilliant escape.
Oh, yeah.
You see the brilliant escape?
Wait, no.
It's pretty hard. Yeah, it's a brilliant escape. You play c5, attacking the bishop because I said so. Now, if he takes one of your pieces, you take one of his pieces. That's fair, right?
Well, you want to take a bishop because bishops are better than knights.
Yeah, but I'm talking about winning a piece, not what's better. Now, if I go here, I'm still forking the bishop and knight, right? But bishop c4 is check because my pawn's not there anymore. And then I can move my knight. Right, so that's okay. So after e4, you have to play c5. But instead, he played queen takes pawn, and then he gave up.
What the heck?
And then I was there, and I was like, boo!
You suck.
Yeah.
You're here?
No, I'm right here. Let's see what the computer says. Who's winning?
Black.
Black is incredibly winning. Black wins a queen, so white gave up. Now, that guy's a very strong grandmaster, 26-30, and he lost in 15 moves.
Wow.
Kasparov was pretty good. Okay, next game. Now Kasparov's white, and he's playing your favorite world champion, Viswanathan. Yeah, he beat the world champion in 17 moves. Now, Anand wasn't the world champion in 1992, but their ratings are pretty close, right? Those are really high numbers, aren't they? 2670 and 2780. Okay, now you'll notice in this position, white wants to play pawn takes knight.
But officially, it's black's move.
No, it's white's move. And Kasparov's like, if I take the bishop, the knight, and he takes back, he's attacking my queen, and he's attacking my bishop. See, that's pretty good, right? Okay, so Kasparov played for a trick, and it worked. It shouldn't have worked, but it worked. He played queen e1. And Anand is like, queen e1, that doesn't do anything. He moved his queen backwards. What does that do?
It's called a serious move.
It's a serious move. Archer.
So
mysterious.
I can't hear Archer.
black to say is like some random move and his taste that it goes with.
Yeah, so Anand's like, queen e1, that doesn't do anything. So Anand's like, roar, f5, roar. Now, what he should have done is he should have seen what was going on, and he should have saved his knight. But Anand was like, if you take the knight, and I take back, I'm threatening your queen and your bishop. So he didn't care about queen e1. So he played f5. And now as Archer pointed out, after you take the knight, now if you take back, the queen's not on e2, the queen's on e1. Remember he moved queen e1?
Yes, and the queen is protected.
Right. Now Archer was explaining how you save the queen and the bishop. Bishop e2. Uh-oh. So now white just took that knight for nothing. And Anand probably didn't see bishop e2, and the reason he didn't see it was there is no bishop e2 here. The queen's on e2. That's why Kasparov played queen e1.
And
then it takes, yeah.
and Vishy should have saw farther down the road.
Right.
But Kasparov was actually the one who
That's correct.
farther
Right.
down the road.
Now, after pawn takes knight, Vishy's like, no, he has bishop e2. So Vishy gave up. Let's go back. Queen e1, turn on the engine. It says, equal position. Then Anand plays f5 and the red light goes on. And it's like, whoa, you gave your knight away, dude. Bam. And then it's like, oh, if you take bishop e2 and white's winning. Terrible. And then what did was Nakamura alive in 92? Yeah, Nakamura was like 3 or 4 years old.
Frankly,
So he said, gaga, terrible. Okay.
Gaga terrible.
Yeah, that was Nakamura's first words, was gaga, terrible.
Gaga terrible.
Okay, now,
Gaga.
you've never heard of the player with the white pieces. His name is Tal Shaked. He used to be a friend of mine, but I haven't seen him in a long time. The last time I saw him was very funny. I was in California visiting my friends, and my friend worked at Google. You've heard of Google?
Yeah.
Okay, he worked there, so I went there, and he was like, oh, Tal Shaked works in the building. So we went and visited him. Said, hey, Tal Shaked. So this guy worked at Google. I visited my friend, and then we saw him in the building. Okay, so he doesn't play chess anymore because, you know, Google pays you a lot of money. Okay, so this guy quit chess, the guy with white. But this is before he quit chess. Notice the rating difference.
It's a whole lot.
The reason White's playing in the tournament is he was the world junior champion.
Oh.
And they said, okay, time to play with adults. So in this position, White played bishop b1 because, as you pointed out, bishops are better than knights, so he saved his bishop. And then Kasparov attacked his queen because taking queens is good. You see how the knight attacks the queen?
I don't, and there's no way how to Zechizuk. You know the word Zechizuk?
I do know it, but I pronounce it better than you do. But yeah, I do know it. Yeah, anyway, continue. Yeah, so here, White made the worst queen move. The worst. Okay, and they asked Banya, and he said, the worst, Jerry, the worst. Can you believe that? Yeah. Okay, so as we talked about in previous positions, when you move your queen out really far away, sometimes the guy attacks it and it gets trapped. So a safe move would be queen c2 or queen d1. Safe.
Queen f4.
That's what he did. He went, roar, queen f4.
Blunder.
And then after Kasparov's move, White said, I quit chess, I'm going to work at Google. That's actually what happened too. I need to push a very important button. This button. I push you, you push me. I'm gonna get Thai foodie, then I'm gonna eat it. It's gonna taste good, just like Thai food should. Right? Let's see. Okay, good. Okay, and then I'm gonna write a new chapter of my book after my food comes. What's the new chapter called? Eat like a grandmaster. Right. You with the right answer.
Bishop e5.
Right. Kasparov played, pay attention, bishop e5.
White queen's
And it's trapped.
And it's trapped.
The last move was a blunder since it said question mark, and it means blunder.
Right. So let's go back and talk to the computer. The computer says black has an advantage. And then the red light goes on and it says black is winning the queen. Bam. Look at that number. So he went from +1 to +8. Man, queen f4 wasn't good.
Well,
And then
the second.
tall Shaked quit chess like a grandmaster. And don't move the chair. Yeah. Okay. Now, this was a boring game, and this was in a simultaneous. Let me explain what that is. Kasparov was too good. So he would take people like you, and he would line you up, and he would play all of you at the same time. Okay? That's what he did here. And black obviously took back. Okay. Now this position's boring, except white has an extra pawn. Because white has an extra pawn. But Kasparov made it exciting. Okay? Watch what Kasparov did. He took the knight, messing up black's pawns, and then he played knight e5, attacking the pawn.
It makes black weak. It has black weak pawns because it's all isolated.
That's right.
Weak pawn island while Kasparov only has 2.
Right. Kasparov has 2 pawn islands. 1, 2. The other guy has 3. Now Kasparov wants to take this, but the other guy was afraid of that too. Now that's not so scary because black just takes with a knight. But this is really scary. That's the scariest. And black blundered here. He played what you would call Zwischenzug. That's what he did. Instead of defending his pawn, he did something else. That didn't work out. Theodore, what do you think?
It was probably.
Is your name Theodore?
Yeah, he is.
No, let's Theodore. What do you think? You think nothing? Are you thinking Arby's? Yeah. Don't think Arby's, you'll get sick.
Think fries.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Fry's, the electronics store.
Yeah.
Okay, so watch the Zwischenzug that didn't work. He played bishop e2 attacking the rook. So white moved his rook.
It's like
And now he's attacking this and this.
I keep messing up Desperado with Zwischenzug.
That's right. Desperado is a song by the Eagles.
Yeah.
Desperado. Okay, now black thought he was really smart. He saved his bishop and he defended his pawn at the same time. That's crazy. How do you do that? You, with some crazy answer. How did he save his bishop and save his pawn? Wow.
He didn't.
Wow.
Well, he
Bishop B5.
That's right. Now, I have a secret to tell you, but don't tell anybody. Black's bishop isn't even attacked.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because if you take it, I'll checkmate you. However, I have another secret to tell you. How do you save this pawn? Other than bishop b5. If you play rook c8, now there's no rook d1 mates. I can take your bishop.
C5.
Yeah, c5, but then I play knight c6, forking your rook and bishop.
Yeah.
Okay, so the guy played bishop b5, and he's like, no problem. I saved my bishop, I saved my pawn, and then he's like, raise the roof.
And,
Now-
but that was actually kind of a blunder because
It was.
Because why? Because wait a minute, Kasparov was right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, now Kasparov heard of something you haven't heard of, but you're in class, so now you're going to hear of it. It's called removing the defender.
I already did that.
Yeah, have a seat.
I know that.
Yeah, but you don't know how to do it. I know you know it.
I do.
Whenever I say you don't know it, that means you know it. Pay attention. Now, shh. What's defending this pawn?
Bishop.
The bishop. Let's get rid of that bishop. Ow. How do we attack that bishop? Then he cries. Archer.
C4.
C4 is explosive. Then I play bishop A4.
A4.
Oh.
Yeah.
A4.
A4. C4 also good, but A4 is better.
Yeah.
Now if you move your bishop,
A4.
I'm going to go there and you're going to cry a lot.
Really?
Because you're going to lose everything.
Why does C4 doesn't work out?
If C4, then I can escape to A4. Whew. That was lucky. Right?
Oh.
But if I play
now
A4, then you got nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Right? Is that your favorite song from the 60s?
Yes.
Nowhere.
Yeah, that's a song, yeah. Okay, now if I turn the engine on, let's vote. First of all, white's up a pawn, because he is. So if nothing's going on and it's boring, it'll say +1. But white's doing everything, so it's going to say like +5. That's how bad black's position is. Yeah.
Or +100 or a billion. Okay, not that much.
It only says +3. That's because it sees a really nice trick. That's a pretty good trick. I didn't see that. It's going to play bishop d6, giving its bishop away, and then you can't take the bishop because of the back rank mate again.
Nice.
So you take this, and now you're threatening this pawn, so you go here, and white's only up +3.5, which is a lot. Wow. Okay, so here black resigned after a4. He said a4, that's too good, and Kasparov said no, it's 3 good. z3 +3. Yeah. Was that joke too complicated for you?
No.
Yeah. Now, what did we learn from those games? Well, a lot of the blunders Kasparov's opponents made were moving their queen out, then they had nowhere to go. They got attacked and they were trapped. Another blunder was blocking his own pieces. The first one we saw was knight d7, and he blocked his bishop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you block your own pieces, they can't move. What did Dr. John Nunn do wrong? He didn't move any of his pieces off the back row. He's like, oh, they'll just stay there and then I can resign. Okay. I see a lot of kids do that. I teach kids chess, I watch them play chess, and I'm like, why did you make 10 pawn moves in a row? Why didn't you move your pieces? And they go, I'll move those later. Okay, if you move them later, that's after you resigned and lost all your pieces.
Yeah.
So don't do that. You have to get all of your pieces out. That way they're doing something. If you move your queen out too far, the guy's going to trap it and you'll cry. Now, I'm going to show you an example based on that. It's one of my games, and I have a really funny story about this game. Where's Ben Finegold? Well, I'm right here. Search, reset, and we'll go 2008 to 2012. I think it was played in 2009. I'm sure it was. Okay, and then we're going to do white 1. And then we're going to say it was 13 to 16 moves. Okay, and then there's the game. Okay, I couldn't remember his name, but it's Kuljasevic. That's a cool name. Notice, he's higher rated than me. But just like in The Godfather, no matter how good you are, if you get checkmated, it doesn't matter. So if you lose your queen, I'm going to beat you. I don't care who you are.
So he resigned?
Let's look. Okay, we played boring. Okay, then it got exciting. He played queen a5, pinning my knight. That's not nice. So I took his pawn, and he took back. Did I take his knight?
No. No,
I can't, it's pinned. So I attacked his knight with a pawn. He took my knight, I took back, and he made a bad move here. He took my pawn, because he's like, I took a pawn. Okay, so then I thought I was French, so I retreated.
King d2.
Bishop d2.
Oh, bishop d2.
Now I want to take his queen.
You're marching for a good snack.
So he has only one way to save his queen. Who can find it?
Queen 2.
Why raise your hand if you yell the answer out?
Yeah.
Just not raise your hand. You!
Queen a3.
Then my rook takes his queen and he cries.
It was queen b2.
People raise their hand and yell the answer out while they're raising their hand. You! Queen b2, where'd you get that from? From everybody else? Yeah. Okay, now I attacked his queen, but he moved it.
Blunder.
Okay, and then I played this move, a5, and he made the losing move. He should get out of there. Rawr. Instead, even though he's higher rated than me, he trapped his own queen. Let me shake my head some more. Which is good because I like winning. Okay, he played c5. Now his queen can't go back. See, I trapped his own queen?
Can I see your engine?
Well, no, because they'll tell you what the good move is. I'll show you later. I attacked his queen, and he went to the only square. Queen b2. Now I made the move that he missed. He's like, well, you keep attacking my queen, it'll be a draw. But I played bishop c4. And the reason is,
It's like this.
the reason is I want to play rook a2. Then his queen's trapped. Yeah, in fact, after rook a2, he saw the Sound of Music, right? And who was his favorite family? The Von Trapp family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so after bishop c4, he loses his queen for sure. He can't save his queen. So I played bishop c4, I hit the clock, I wrote bishop c4, then I was walking around the room waiting for him to make his move, right? And my good friend, and your good friend, and your good friend, Varakobian, he's like number 5 in the country. He was walking around too, he was playing somebody else, and I kicked to Kobian. I got a prize, kick like a grandmaster. And Kobian looked at me and I went, like, go look at my game, but I didn't say anything. So Kobian looks at me funny, and he goes and looks at my game, and he's like, what? Because he sees the queen's trapped. He's like, what? It's move 15, roar. Okay, so my opponent gave up here, he resigned. Now, that's not the, yeah, well, hold on.
Can we see the guy?
You can, hold on. And then, after he gave up, I left, I'm standing out in the hallway, right? Like you guys stand in this hallway. Yeah. And they're like, why did you draw so quickly? Why did you have such a fast draw? And I said, I won. They thought that I kept attacking his queen, and that it, like perpetual on his queen, and we agreed to a draw. And I said, I won. They couldn't believe I won because the game was so fast. They assumed it was so fast, we agreed to a draw. And I'm like, I won. You with some comment that makes no sense.
Can we see the game that the guy you kicked played?
He was a Kobe.
I mean, maybe. Okay, so let's go to the kibitzer. It says white has an advantage, but not too much. Not too much. Now, when he plays c5, what color is that light going to turn? Red. Yep. It says, wait a minute, you're going to lose your queen now. I play rook a1, that's the best move. And then I play bishop c4, that's the best move. Okay? And then it says he loses his queen. It says I'm +5. So he gave up. Then he wrote a book, Give Up Like a Grandmaster. That's why you guys shouldn't give up. You're not grandmasters. Also, you should never give up. Let me explain why. When you give up, that means that you lose.
Yeah.
Now, the people that you're playing,
They win.
they could give all their pieces away. They could stalemate you, so don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Never.
Never.